Hey y'all, thanks for joining me. We're going to go over what's going on with Greece and Turkey, the updates on that. Seems the tensions are rising. As you can see, we're talking about here the 2026-2027 events that may occur at this time, at these years, this year, next year, regarding World War III, all the players involved, and we're centering right now on Turkey and Greece. And we'll see here that Christopher, the channel creator for Holy Wisdom, has his beliefs on this, of how he thinks things were going to play out. He's giving an overview of this, summary of what's going on, how things are going to start heating up, even as early as January and February of 2026, which we can already see that happening. It's happening right now. So then he says these tensions, the thing with Russia and NATO and Izzy and Iran, all that. We see that happening right now. Greek-Turkish relations will steadily deteriorate. These tensions can begin as early as January, February 2026, as I said, when Turkey plans to deploy new drilling vessels to gas fields in the Aegean Sea. This is, a decisive move in its energy exploration strategy. During this period, the Turkey-Greece dispute over the Muslim minority in Western Thrace is expected to intensify. Well, interestingly enough on that, let me go through these things for you of what's going on with the news. Speaking of Thrace, we have Turkey condemns attack on Turkish minority school in Greece's West Thrace. So Turkey condemned an attack on a primary school belonging to the Turkish minority in Greece's Western Thrace region. He's calling on Greek authorities to swiftly identify those responsible and take necessary measures. The Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Kasili, said unidentified individuals vandalized a Turkish minority elementary school in the village of Orthodox, which had been closed by Greek authorities after the 2021-2022 academic year. In a statement shared on social media, he said Turkey strongly condemns the attack regardless of who carried it out and expects Greek officials to fully investigate the incident and ensure the perpetrators are brought to justice. He added that Turkey shares the grief of ethnic Turks living in the area and reaffirmed Ankara's commitment to defending the rights and interests of the Turkish minority in Western Thrace, which are protected under international agreement. Federation of Western Thrace Turks in Europe and Western Thrace Turkish Minority Advisory Board also condemned the attack, recalling that a similar incident had occurred in the past and warning that repeated acts targeting minority institutions further undermine the sense of security among the community. So the attack on the school in the village of whatever that was, I can't pronounce it, in Greece's Rhodope region came to light on January 4th after local residents noticed the damage. Following the discovery, police launched an on-site investigation at the school building. Turkish minority community has accused Greece of this systemic violation over the recent years, of their educational rights, which is guaranteed under the 1923 Treaty of Lausanne, as the government maintains its policy of shutting down minority schools every year under the pretext that the number of students falls. So this is a Turkish newspaper, news outlet. So it says some 150,000 Muslim Turks in Western Thrace, economically one of the poorest in Greece, have long complained about deteriorating conditions. Now, of course, we don't want any minorities to be treated, fairly. They should be treated fairly. I think we also have to remember the Turkish occupation, it's still going on in Cyprus, and the history between Greece and Turkey to understand this issue. Okay. So that's what's going on in Thrace. The latest thing that I've seen. That's heated up. Then we have Athens continues laying cable between Greek isles despite Turkish annoyance. Okay, so the Turkish official continues to cling to its revisionist and idiosyncratic notion that islands in the Aegean have no continent shelf or impact on delimiting any further or any future exclusive economic zone. This thing has been an argument and a fight in the Aegean and zones for years and years and years, as anybody who lives in that area knows, and maybe even we know, from even following anything that's going on in Greece and Turkey. Another revisionist, belligerent view held by Ankara over the past decades is that Greece does not have the right to extend its territorial waters in the Aegean beyond 6 nautical miles, an opinion that is not in line with the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Okay, so this is what the website tovima.com is saying on it. Official Turkey's position appears to be that the Aegean Sea, east of the 25th meridian, and sans the areas where Greek islands enjoy 6 nautical miles of territorial waters, belongs to Turkey or compromises a future Turkish continental shelf. If you watch my history between Greece and Turkey, Turkey did not originally own these islands. These were all Greece's. So, just so you know that. So they go on about the whole, hail the vessel laying the cable. They try to stop it, and the Panamanian flagged Ocean Link, calling on it to stop activities in areas of Turkish jurisdiction, which in this case was a location between the islands of Amorgos and Astypalaia. The distance between the two Greek isles in the central Aegean is roughly 28.5 nautical miles, but dozens of nautical miles from the nearest Turkish territory. Okay, so they were going on about that. Okay, so the Hellenic Navy's Hydrological Service has issued a NAVTEX for the wider maritime region that extends to January 26, 2026, in order to allow the Ocean Link to continue its activities, which to date have not been impeded in any way. So that's still going on. And then you already know about the connection with Greece, that's Israel, and Cyprus energy connection that they're working on. Okay. Now, here on January 15th, the Aegean issue must be resolved once and for all, says Turkish Foreign Minister Fidan. Let's resolve the Aegean issue once and for all. This issue must be discussed based on the national interests of Greece and Turkey. Erdogan and Mitsotakis may meet in February, he says. I hope we can finally resolve this Aegean issue without wasting this historic opportunity. I believe this is possible based on all my analyses, but as I said, it must be discussed on a rational basis, free from internal political pressure in Greece and taking into account the national interests of both Greece and Turkey. So, that's what they're saying. Well, we hope this works out. Well, guess what? Greece plans to extend territorial waters despite Turkey's warning of war. Okay, so they're going to extend 12, where was that? Not 12 nautical. Was it 12 nautical? Yeah, exactly. Okay. Greece has already extended its territorial waters in the Ionian Sea to 12 nautical miles from 6, following agreements with Italy, and it has signed a maritime delimitation deal with Egypt in the eastern Mediterranean. But it has avoided similar moves in the Aegean, where Ankara objected sharply. In 95, the Turkish parliament declared a casus belli, or a cause for war, if Greece unilaterally extended its waters beyond the 6 nautical miles in the Aegean, a position Athens claims violates international maritime law. So back then, they were talking about a cause for war over this. So, okay, the answering questions in Parliament on Friday, Geopolitics said further expansion was expected. Today, our sovereignty in the Aegean Sea extends to 6 nautical miles, he said, as there was an agreement with Egypt, as there was an agreement with Italy. There will also be a future extension of the territorial waters. He didn't specify which maritime areas could be extended. And of course, the Foreign Ministry of Turkey was not available to talk. But yeah, they've been going on about these issues and the Aegean Park and all of this. It's been going on a long time, but it seems that they're starting to make this decision in the Greek government, that they're going to extend their nautical miles like they did in the Ionian. They're probably going to do eventually in the Aegean, which is going to probably bring about what's going on with these Orthodox prophecies on what's going to happen with Turkey and Greece. Another important thing here, this is important. This is Turkey edges closer to leading Black Sea mission under Ukraine security guarantees. Okay, so this came out January 6th. The Turkish armed forces have always maintained that Turkey should assume responsibility for any naval element established at the time of peace. Considerable progress has been made on this. So, Turkey is likely to assume the naval mission for Black Sea security as part of the security guarantees given to Ukraine, and following the coalition of the willing summit in Paris on Tuesday. So, French President Emmanuel Macron said at a press conference that Turkey was willing to take responsibility in this area. European and U.S. allies of Ukraine on Tuesday agreed to robust security guarantees for Kiev to come into force after an eventual ceasefire in Russia's war against the pro-Western country. The eventual ceasefire. I wonder when that's going to happen. According to Macron, the agreement would see the United States lead a truce monitoring mechanism. So, we will see. In August, Ankara shifted its position last year after Moscow insisted it would not allow NATO troops on Ukrainian soil under any agreement. Instead, Turkey has focused on leading a potential naval mission in the Black Sea, acting as a deterrent to mining waters and helping Ukraine rebuild its navy. So, as we know, this is part of what's going to happen with Turkey's involvement in opening the Hellespont. It's what do I remember in Elder Joseph of Vatopodi's prophecy, and what happens in the Black Sea with the air fight between American pilots and Russian ones. This sounds to be around the same thing that's going to be happening here. Why Turkey is involved here? Well, Turkey is involved because here's the information. So all of this is really important of what's going on. I think we need to keep an eye on this and see what comes of it, because there's a lot of tensions going on. We have the Thrace thing. Well, there's things like that have been happening, but I looked into this and actually it has been increasing. The tensions are really increasing and rising in Thrace, in the Aegean, and the fact that Turkey isn't comfortable with the energy agreement, and that Erdogan feels left out because the EU nations are supporting Greece and Cyprus, not so much Turkey. So we need to think about that because, as you know, Erdogan flips back and forth. When things aren't going well from the west, he'll flip to the east. When things aren't going well from the east, he flips to the west. That's how he works. So anyway, I hope you got something out of that. A lot of news stories I shared there, so hopefully you were able to get something out of that, and it was informative.